I borrowed my mother's phone and accidentally opened a hidden folder. Inside, there were photos of family vacations I'd never seen. My sister's birthday trips with my parents. I wasn't there. The next day I messaged them, "Don't contact me again." What happened next left me speechless. As the morning sun illuminated the Chicago skyscrapers, Olivia Hunter was already at her desk. She was in her 7th year as a senior designer at the advertising agency Creative Impulse. The light streaming through the window illuminated the carefully placed photo frame on her desk. It held only her graduation photo. Olivia had meticulously tied her hair back in a ponytail and wore a simple but sophisticated navy blouse and gray pantsuit. Her colleagues often called her a perfectionist, sometimes keeping their distance, but everyone recognized the quality of her work. She took a deep breath, sipped her coffee, and checked her emails. A message from her mother glowed in the corner of the screen. After hesitating for a moment, Olivia decided to open it. "Olivia, I haven't received your reply about your father's birthday party. It's next Sunday. Vanessa has even taken a day off work." Olivia sighed as she stared at the screen. Her mother, Martha, had worked as an English teacher at Oak Park High School, in a Chicago suburb, for 25 years. Her students adored her, and her colleagues respected her. At home, she always projected the image of a perfect mother, showing especially affectionate care for her younger daughter, Vanessa. "I'll reply later," Olivia murmured, leaving the email marked as read. She didn't want to go to her father's birthday party. Her father, George, had worked as a sales manager at the local real estate agency, Hunter Realty, for over 20 years. He was sociable, pleasant, and highly regarded by clients. However, at home, he always deferred to his mother's opinions and rarely intervened in conflicts between the daughters. Olivia used to describe her relationship with her father as one of superficial respect. He was proud of her grades and professional successes, but he never tried to truly understand her. Instead, George's attention was always directed towards her sister, Vanessa. Vanessa. Just thinking about the name stirred complex emotions within Olivia. Vanessa worked in the personal banking division of the local First National Bank, and lately, rumors of her promotion to branch assistant manager were circulating. With long blonde hair and blue eyes, Vanessa had been the captain of the school cheerleaders and still maintained an active social life, going out to parties with her friends on weekends. "Mother's favorite," Olivia whispered under her breath. It wasn't simple jealousy, but the conclusion of years of observation. At family gatherings, her mother would speak enthusiastically about Vanessa, while only showing a formal interest in Olivia's accomplishments. Her phone on the desk vibrated. The screen displayed "Grandpa." Olivia's expression softened. It was a call from her maternal grandfather, William, a judge and a wealthy man. He was perhaps the only family member Olivia could truly open up to. "Good morning, Olivia," she answered the phone cheerfully. "Good morning, Olivia. How are you?" William's warm voice resonated. "I'm fine. Just busy. How are you?" "Still not letting the youngsters beat me," William replied, laughing. "About George's birthday party, you're coming, right?" Olivia hesitated for a moment. "I haven't decided yet. Work keeps me busy." Her grandfather sighed deeply on the other end of the line. "I understand, Olivia. I know how difficult family gatherings can be for you. But would you come for me? I'm getting older. There aren't many opportunities for the whole family to get together." Olivia closed her eyes and pressed her hand against her forehead. She couldn't refuse her grandfather's words. "Okay, Grandpa. I'll go. I'm glad to hear that. Also, I saw the article about your project last month. It was excellent. Your talent is genuine." Olivia's eyes filled with tears upon hearing his words. After hanging up, Olivia looked out the window, lost in thought. Since she was a child, she had felt like the odd one out in her family. Serious and sincere, her family often described her as boring and inflexible. Her relationships with her family, especially those who weren't her grandfather, seemed to grow more distant each year. In recent years, she had been invited to family gatherings less frequently, even for Christmas and Thanksgiving. They increasingly told her that Olivia must be busy. Part of it was true, but sometimes she deliberately scheduled appointments, anticipating rejection. Olivia turned her chair towards the computer screen. She opened her calendar and looked at the following Sunday. It was blank. Slowly, she typed Dad's birthday party and saved it. I wonder what excuses I'll hear this time, she murmured, returning to work. Deep down, she yearned for family ties, even though she constantly feared rejection. She just wanted to be truly accepted as a member of the family. On Saturday afternoon, Olivia was on the porch of her mother's house, the day before her father's birthday. She had come to print reference material for a new design project, as her printer had broken down, and the deadline was approaching. Olivia, you came. Martha opened the door and gave her a formal hug. What perfect timing. Vanessa just went out to buy decorations for the party, and I just ordered the cake. Thanks, Olivia replied quietly. Can I use the printer? Yes, of course. Use it in the study. By the way, did you get your father's present ready? Olivia smiled faintly. Yes, I found the vintage watch he wanted so much. Oh, that's good, Martha said, but her voice lacked enthusiasm. Vanessa bought a golf set. Your father will be delighted. Olivia nodded silently and went up to the study. She felt her mother's words sting, even though she tried not to show any emotion. Upon entering the study and turning on the computer, a screen with a password appeared. Olivia sighed. Mom, can you tell me the password? She called from downstairs. I forgot. I changed it last week. Martha came upstairs. My smartphone will be quicker. Your materials arrived by email, right? Martha unlocked her iPhone and handed it to Olivia. Here, use this. I need to make one last call to confirm the cake. I'll be back in about 30 minutes. Okay, thanks. When Martha left the room, Olivia sighed in relief. She opened the email app on her mother's phone and started searching for the materials she had sent herself. She downloaded the attached file and sent it to the printer. As the printer started working, Olivia felt lost. Without realizing it, she returned to the home screen of her mother's phone and started browsing the apps. A folder called Private Albums caught her attention. Private albums? Olivia whispered, driven by curiosity. She tapped the folder. The screen displayed dozens of photo albums with titles like Vanessa's Birthday, Trip to Florida 2023, Christmas Dinner, Family Weekend. Olivia frowned. She had never heard of these events. How strange. She tapped the Vanessa's Birthday album. Photos appeared one after another. Her sister Vanessa sitting and smiling in front of a birthday cake, surrounded by her parents, friends, and family. Olivia gasped. This was 3 months ago. They didn't invite me. What is this? Her hand started to tremble. Then she opened Trip to Florida 2023. There were pictures of her parents and Vanessa enjoying themselves on a Miami beach. Upon checking the date, it was the same week Olivia had been told she couldn't go on the family trip because of an important presentation. They lied to me. Olivia's voice trembled. Then, Christmas dinner. This was last Christmas when Olivia was told there were no family plans, and she spent the day alone in her apartment. The photos showed the family around a sumptuous dinner. Even Grandpa William was there. Olivia's heart began to pound. She opened Family Weekend and saw more family photos without her. She reviewed all the albums in the folder one by one. In none of the photos was she present. Why? Tears welled up in her eyes. She didn't even realize the printer had stopped. At that moment, she heard the door downstairs open. Olivia, did you finish printing the materials? Martha asked. Olivia quickly returned the phone to its original state and wiped away her tears. However, she couldn't erase the emptiness and pain spreading in her chest. Yes, I did, she replied in a shaky voice. When Martha returned to the study, Olivia had already packed her materials into her backpack and was standing. Are you leaving already? Martha asked, somewhat surprised. Yes, I still have things to do. Olivia couldn't look her mother in the eye. I see. You're coming to the party tomorrow, right? Olivia nodded without saying anything, rushed down the stairs and walked through the front door. Olivia, are you okay? Did something happen? Martha followed her. Nothing. See you tomorrow, Olivia replied curtly, opening the door and leaving. Once in her car, she rested her forehead on the steering wheel and cried silently. The unease she had felt for years now manifested clearly before her. They had excluded her from their family deliberately. Back in her apartment, Olivia couldn't sleep all night. Restless, she replayed her family's words and actions. Olivia's busy. Olivia wouldn't be interested. Don't tell her, she'll be hurt. These words now resonated with a new meaning. By the time the morning sun streamed through the window, Olivia had made a decision. She picked up her cell phone and sent the same message to the whole family. Don't contact me again. Then she blocked them all. Phone, social media. Every means of contact. It was a strange feeling, a mixture of liberation and sadness. The Chicago spring was gradually changing, just like Olivia's state of mind. 3 months after breaking up with her family, she had maintained her isolation and immersed herself in her work. Her reputation at Creative Impulse had improved even more than before, having won an award last month for a campaign for a major beverage company. As she sipped her coffee while contemplating the cityscape from her office window, Olivia felt the ache in her heart still lingered. But her life was moving on. Do you want to come to a new yoga class with me? Her colleague Rachel stopped by her desk. I've heard the instructor is really good. This weekend. Olivia smiled. Rachel was a colleague she had become very fond of since breaking up with her family. Sounds good. I'd like to try it. Her cell phone vibrated. It was a call from an unknown number. Normally she would ignore it, but for some reason she felt compelled to answer. Hello. Olivia, it's me. Olivia's heart skipped a beat upon hearing her grandfather William's voice. Grandpa. I'm sorry. I'm calling from a new number. I heard you blocked all family members. William's voice was calm, but with a touch of sadness. Olivia stood up and headed for the conference room. I didn't intend to block you too, but... No need to explain. I understand, William said. But there's something I need to talk to you about. Could you come to my house tonight? Olivia hesitated. What's it about? I want to talk in person. This isn't a phone conversation. Her grandfather's voice had an unusual urgency. All right, she finally agreed. I'll come at 6. After hanging up, Olivia stood by the window, contemplating the city of Chicago. The prospect of reuniting with her grandfather filled her heart with both anticipation and anxiety. William Morrison's mansion was located in an exclusive residential area of North Chicago. Beyond the stone gates lay a well-kept garden. When Olivia rang the doorbell, the butler, Harold, greeted her. Olivia was led through the spacious hallway to her grandfather's study. William was sitting in a leather armchair in front of the fireplace. His appearance was still dignified, but he seemed a little thinner than before. Olivia, I'm glad you came. William rose and hugged his granddaughter. Grandpa. Olivia relaxed slightly in his arms. I'm glad to see you well. Sit down, William said, gesturing to another chair opposite the fireplace. First, I want to tell you that I don't blame you for your decision. She nodded silently. I know about the photos, William said quietly. Martha told me you found them. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. Why, Grandpa? Because I'm the only one who was excluded. William finished the sentence. That's what I want to talk to you about today. The grandfather got up and took an old leather-bound album from the bookshelf. This is the family history I've recorded over the years. Olivia took the album from her grandfather and opened it. It contained family photos she had never seen before. Photos of her mother, Martha, as a child, Christmas scenes with her grandparents, and then, this is... Olivia gasped. Yes, your mother and her sister, your Aunt Elizabeth. Olivia was confused. Aunt? Mom has a sister. She did, William said gravely. Elizabeth died 30 years ago in a car accident. Olivia continued turning the pages. Aunt Elizabeth looked a lot like her mother, Martha, but her gaze seemed sweeter and more open. But what does this have to do with our family's problems? William let out a deep sigh. Martha and Elizabeth were always competitive. Elizabeth was bright, sociable, and loved by everyone. Martha, on the other hand, he searched for the words, was more introverted and jealous. After Elizabeth's death, Martha changed. Her darker aspects intensified. Still, why am I? You resemble Elizabeth, Olivia, William said softly. Not only in appearance but also in character. Your honesty, your kindness. For your mother. Perhaps that brings back painful memories. Olivia was speechless. She stared at the photos of her aunt. However, that's no excuse. William's voice suddenly grew stronger. What Martha, Vanessa, and George did to you is inexcusable. They lied to me, Olivia said quietly. They told me there were no family gatherings when there actually were. Yes. And they lied to me too, William said, unable to contain his anger. Olivia is too busy to come. Olivia said she's not interested. I believed them. I was a fool. Olivia's tears welled up. You didn't know. If I had known, I would never have allowed it, William said firmly. Vanessa came to me last month crying and told me the truth, probably because of guilt. Olivia looked up surprised. Vanessa? Yes. Your distancing seems to have impacted her. She has always done what her mother told her. But this time her conscience must have been pricked. William stood up and walked to his desk. Olivia, I've made a decision. Next Saturday, I'll hold a special dinner at this house. I'm inviting the whole family. What? But I want you to come. William looked at Olivia seriously. This is also for your vindication. And I have something to tell everyone. The whole family. Olivia looked at her grandfather with a confused expression. Grandpa, what are you planning? That's the surprise of the day, William said with a slight smile. I'm proud of you, Olivia. Of your strength and sincerity. And now it's time to show that to the whole family. Olivia took a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts. She didn't feel ready to face her family again. However, seeing her grandfather's determined gaze, she nodded faintly. Okay, Grandpa. I'll go. Good decision, William said with satisfaction. I'll send formal invitations. But the dress code is formal. I want it to be an occasion worthy of celebrating the family reunion. As she left, Olivia turned at the door and asked her grandfather, Grandpa, are you sure? It seems like you're up to something. William smiled. Don't worry. It's just time to reveal the truth. On Saturday night, Olivia arrived at her grandfather's mansion wearing a black cocktail dress, a knot in her stomach from nerves. She approached the front door. Inside, her family was already gathered. Her father, George, her mother, Martha, and her sister, Vanessa. Their expressions were varied. Martha was visibly anxious, George confused, and Vanessa looked at Olivia with guilt-ridden eyes. Olivia and George approached each other. It's been a while. Yes, it has, Olivia replied curtly. An awkward silence fell. At that moment, William entered the room. He wore a black tuxedo and exuded an unusual dignity. Everyone, please take your seats, William announced. Tonight is a special dinner. While everyone was seated at the table, William raised his glass. Before we begin, there's something I want to tell all of you. He stood up and said in a solemn voice, For many years I have cherished the honor of this family. I've valued honesty and dignity. He looked at Olivia. And tonight I want to reaffirm those values. William looked around at Martha, George, and Vanessa. His voice sounded cold. I know what you've done to Olivia. Excluding her from the family, lying to her, hurting her. Martha's face turned pale. Dad, that's... Be quiet. William's voice was stern. I don't want to hear excuses. These aren't the values I taught you. He approached Olivia. Olivia Hunter is the most honest, hardworking, and valuable person in this family. Her success is the result of her own efforts. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. William put his hand on her shoulder. And tonight I've made a decision, he said, facing the table. I appoint Olivia as my heir to my fortune and my business. A wave of shock rippled through the room. Martha gasped. George half rose from his chair. Vanessa's face paled. Dad, what do you mean? Martha asked in a trembling voice. It's clear, William replied calmly. After my death, the Morrison family fortune and the management rights to the real estate business will pass into Olivia's hands. This is my final decision, and the legal procedures are already complete. Olivia was stunned. She looked at her grandfather, overwhelmed by his determined expression. Grandpa, this is not a punishment, William said, addressing the whole family. It is a decision to give the right responsibility to the right person. William raised his glass. To Olivia Hunter, my granddaughter, and the future of the Morrison family. With trembling hands, Olivia toasted back. In the imposing conference room of Morrison Real Estate, Olivia reviewed the newly arrived documents. A week after her grandfather's dinner, she had been officially appointed CEO of the company. With a business card bearing the company logo in her hand, it still didn't seem real. There was a knock on the door, and her grandfather, William, entered. As he settled in, he asked with a smile, "How are you adjusting?" "Little by little," Olivia replied honestly. "I have a lot to learn about the real estate business." "I trust your insight and ability to learn." William sat down. "You will bring a new perspective to this company." Olivia nodded and looked away towards the window. The skyscrapers of downtown were visible. "What about my father and sister?" William's expression darkened. "Apparently, they accept your appointment. George continues to work in the sales department as before, and Vanessa started working as a financial assistant last week." "Really? Is everything okay?" Olivia couldn't hide her concern. "They probably need time to face the truth," the grandfather said quietly. "Now then, starting today, I'm giving you access to all accounting records and transaction histories. To understand the reality of the company, it's important to know its past." From that day on, Olivia began dividing her time between her work at the advertising agency and managing the Morrison Company. Her attention to detail and analytical skills soon paid off. She examined the accounting records for the past 5 years and investigated transaction patterns. 3 weeks later at night, Olivia remained in the company office, focused on reading. She frowned as she checked the same figures again and again. "Strange," she murmured. The monitor displayed the company's accounting system. She investigated thoroughly, comparing bank statements, deposit and withdrawal records, and customer transaction histories. Finally, she discovered a pattern of irregularities. "This is it." Olivia took notes with trembling hands and printed the data. For the past 3 years, funds had been regularly withdrawn from the company and transferred to multiple accounts that were difficult to trace. Further investigation revealed that these accounts were related to personal investments by her father, George, and her sister, Vanessa. Unbelievable. Olivia gathered the materials and put them in her backpack. She had to inform her grandfather immediately. The next morning, in the study of William's house, Olivia told him about her discovery. "Do you have proof?" William asked with a stern expression. "Yes, all the evidence is here," Olivia said, spreading out the files. "My father and sister have embezzled about $2 million from the company over the past 3 years. Overcharging clients, fictitious expenses, falsified transaction records. I have proof of everything." William was silent for a long time. Anger and disappointment flickered in his eyes. "I was blind," he finally said. "My own daughter and granddaughter. What a betrayal. What will you do?" Olivia asked quietly. William stood up and went to the window. "I considered taking legal action, but that would expose the family's shame." He turned around. "Instead, I'll hold another family meeting. This time I'll call all the relatives." "Everyone?" Olivia asked, surprised. "Yes, all members of the Morrison and Hunter families, including the cousins. About 30 people." William's voice was filled with determination. For the honor and the future of the family, the whole truth must be revealed. A week later, William's mansion was overflowing with relatives. For the first time in a long time, Olivia sat next to her grandfather, nervous but with her back straight. She looked at her father and sister sitting on the other side of the room. They were visibly anxious. After dinner, William stood up and made a toast. "Dear family, I have gathered you today at this important crossroads for the Morrison family," he said solemnly. "My life is drawing to a close. In the time I have left, I want to secure the future of this family." He gestured to Olivia. She stood up and stood next to her grandfather. "I formally announce Olivia Hunter as the next president of Morrison Real Estate," William declared. A murmur went through the room. "However, before that, there is something I want all of you to know." William slowly surveyed the room. Recent investigations revealed embezzlement of company funds. Suddenly, the room fell silent. "George! Vanessa! Stand up!" William's voice was steely. Olivia's father and sister stood up, trembling. You have betrayed the trust of the Morrison family. William held up a file. Here is the evidence. Evidence that you diverted company funds for private use and falsified records. Wait. That's a misunderstanding. George raised his voice desperately. You'll have a chance to explain yourself, William said calmly. But the evidence is clear. Martha looked at her pale husband and daughter. Is it true? Her voice trembled. Vanessa had tears in her eyes and couldn't speak. George also remained silent. This is my judgment, William declared. George and Vanessa are banished from the Morrison Company. From today, Olivia will assume full authority of the company. The room buzzed. Relatives looked at each other with shock and commotion. Olivia remained silent, savoring the irony of fate. The family that had excluded her would now be excluded by her. But there was no joy in her heart, only a quiet conviction that justice was being served. The Chicago summer sun reflected off the windows of the new Morrison real estate office building. Preparations continued for the first anniversary celebration. Olivia stood by the window, contemplating the city view. Over the past year, her life had changed in unimaginable ways. Everything is ready, President. Her secretary, Jennifer, smiled as she entered the room. Olivia turned and returned a grateful smile. Thank you. Has Grandpa arrived? Yes, he's waiting in the lobby. Almost everyone else has gathered, too. She took a deep breath and relaxed her shoulders, letting go. Then, as she stepped onto the elevator, she reflected on the past year. After her father and sister's fraud was exposed, she courageously resigned from Creative Impulse and devoted all her energy to rebuilding the Morrison Company. Initially, she struggled to regain the trust of the industry, but her integrity and innovative approach gradually gained recognition. Currently, the Morrison Company had achieved 20% growth compared to the previous year. Once again, it was a respected company in the real estate industry. Upon reaching the lobby, William was standing tall, despite holding a cane. By his side was Olivia's mother, Martha. Olivia, her mother called out, looking a little tense. Mom, thank you for coming, Olivia replied quietly. Repairing the relationship with Martha was slow and not easy. After deciding to separate from George, Martha had tried to communicate with her daughter and apologized several times. Olivia had initially kept her distance, but over time, she began to open her heart. You've built a wonderful company, William said, embracing his granddaughter's shoulders. I'm proud. It's all thanks to you, Grandpa. Olivia smiled. At the venue, clients and employees had gathered to celebrate Olivia's achievements. Models and drawings of new projects, symbolizing the bright future of the Morrison Company, were displayed on the walls. When the time came for the congratulatory speech, William took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, thank you all for gathering here today. A year ago, I made an important decision regarding the future of this company. And now, I am certain that the decision was right. He extended his hand towards Olivia. As she stepped onto the stage, applause erupted. Later at the party, when Olivia was taking a break in a quiet corner, her mother approached her. I heard, Martha said quietly, that she still hasn't recovered from the broken engagement. Olivia nodded silently. Her sister's fiancé's family had broken off the engagement immediately after the fraud was discovered. What did you tell her? The truth, Martha replied. Actions have consequences. A quiet understanding flowed between them. What about Dad? Olivia asked. I heard he got a job at a small real estate company in another state. We're not getting back together, I think. Olivia looked out the window. The sunset was beginning to set, spreading across the sky. The hatred and anger gradually faded, and in their place a quiet acceptance and the determination to move forward filled her heart. A new beginning, she said quietly. Yes, Martha agreed. For all of us. Olivia gave her mother a small smile. The future was still uncertain, but she was confident in the path she was taking. No hidden truth would shake her again.